Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unbearable 73. I am your crown prince of Fandemonia here on Friday, December 22nd, right before. Here's two salute. Which one is which? From the Vulcan Ancellor, which one is the metal symbol? You decide. Of course, I think they're both pretty metal. Happy holidays. Welcome, Dempsey, who is one of my regulars now. Hopefully, we'll get a few more people in. What do we have planned for today? Well, I have several unboxings today, a couple interesting ones, and then I'll have some articles to talk about, and any questions from the audience. Yep. Hey, Salty, welcome to the show. Happy Friday to you, to my wolf brother. I got to listen to you and your stream, the Woo stream from last night. It was on doing Romans and Pops' stream, and I had to go to bed or attempt to go to bed right after that. So I will probably play that a little bit after mine when I'm cooking. Been an interesting month in the world of woo though. While I'm waiting for people to arrive, I'll give it to 3:05 before I do the unboxings. I will use anti-doxing technology, so I do not live dox myself on TV, on YouTube, on the video. This is advanced military-grade anti-doxing technology. This is how the U.S. government prevents secret knowledge from being revealed on the internet. Hey, Jacob, welcome to the show. I'm running out of anti-doxing technology. I have to buy more of it. Yeah, the thing is, hey Corey, welcome to the show. You use what you got. I mean, otherwise, I have no reason to use this for anything. And I buy stuff when it's cheap. Like I also have electric tape I could use. I need one roll of electric tape. I could have bought one for $4, but on Amazon I saw that I could get 12 of them for like $3, so I bought 12 of them. So when I buy more Gorilla tape, I'll look for a deal that's like 3 for like $6 or something from someone, as opposed to paying like $8 for one of them. Oh, Conroy Riker too. That's a newish name. I thought I might have saw him last week. Okay, 303. So how's everyone doing in whatever part of the world you're in? I'm experiencing pretty good channel growth. So like yesterday during Pops and Roman's channel when I was on, just during that time, I went from like 86 to 95, 94 subscribers or something like that. And now I got like 2 or 3 more overnight. Apparently my Reacher episode 3 review is still going strong, like 1,200 plus and counting. People apparently are watching enough to at least give me a little vibe. I posted a. Okay. We'll have to check that out. Dempsey, if you could give a link, I could like repost it as a hot link or something. What was I saying? I totally middle-aged brain froze out of that one. What I was about to say. But it's 3:04. And we have enough people here, so I will start with the unboxing. So first, I'll do like quick first before I get to what I think is going to be the coolest unboxing, which is this bigger box. Okay, so I've been trying to get back into comic books, and by that I mean physically holding the comic book. I can't do this digital reader thing. For the last 2 years, I can't read ebooks anymore. I've never been able to listen to books. I need to hold the book or comic book in my hand, and read them in my hand. I don't know if it's an age thing or whatever, but I'm so turned off on digital. I want to own it. If I want to watch it, I'll have the Blu-ray and have the file in my hard drive. I don't want to watch it on stream anymore. I want to own the books. I want to own the books. Let me get Dempsey to look this so I can share it out. I'm looking Dempsey. Dempsey, I don't see it popping up on Twitter yet. I'll give it a few more seconds, Dempsey. Dempsey, just paste it into chat. Even if you paste it as text, I can copy it as long as it's a hot link, and I can make it go live just by repasting it. In any case, let's get this. So I don't getting back to the comic books. Also, but mostly what I've been finding Godzilla comics, which I like, Kaiju. I found obviously Young Ripper's Universe, which Alpha Core was very good. And I find a lot of horror comics, right? But I want to get some superhero comics. So I heard about uh, Images. Is it Image? Yeah, Images. I believe it's Image. Their superhero universe that they had recently rebooted, I think last year, with a comic book series called Radiant Black, which had some pretty good word of mouth to it. So I decided to get, and since Radiant Black is expensive, the first couple issues, I decided I would grab the graphic novel format, of the first, I believe it's 8 issues of the series. So this has a cool looking cover. It's this was cheap. I think it was. I will tell you what it cost me in a second. Let me go to my Amazon. Radiant Black. I think I paid $9 for this, which was pretty good. By the way, I don't know if you can notice, like right behind me here, look right under, right above the edge of Radiant Black. See the little bear cover back there? That's my new official mascot on Bearable 23. So there we go. That's a little surprise announcement. But as far as Radiant Black goes, I like the artwork. Just at the glance, I like the artwork in it. So as soon as I enjoy the story, I have an issue of it coming of the latest issue coming next week. So I will start adding it to my reading. Okay. That. Now, let me check again for. Okay, now this bug, the big one right here. Okay, so I said last night on Roman stream, I think even on Pops, I tried to hint what this was about. All right, so after a certain amount of time, everything falls into the public domain, and honestly, in most circumstances, that doesn't produce a lot of good results, right? But I was browsing through some reviews of some book reviews, basically, and this company is making H.P. Lovecraft. They're taking H.P. Lovecraft stories and making illustrated versions of them, and the artwork looks pretty good. I mean, it's open, damn it, open. This massive amount of packaging. Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. This is better than I thought it would be. Look at the artwork. This is the Dunwich Horror illustrated. H.P. Lovecraft, one of his great stories. But look at the artwork, the level of the artwork here. It's just a cover. One thing oh my God, they went all the way with this one, guys. So I took the jacket off. Look, even the inside, the book hardcover. Look at the little artwork on that, man. That is beautiful. So this is illustrated by Francois Barringer. All right. Wow. Look at the level of work they put into this. I'm not gonna show every single page. So there's some surprises, so you can go purchase it on your own. But this is there. There isn't like this is amazing. There's more of these, by the way. Let me put it back inside its cover. I don't even have I don't even want to read this until I get my book jacket. Let me put this back. Wow, look, this is just amazing. So that is from. Let's get show you where that came from. The company. Gotta find the name of it. Yeah, they have other. They've done At the Mountains of Madness. Looks like 2 volumes of it. The Call of Cthulhu. I want to find the publisher because I found the publisher on the website. I have it saved, but I don't know what the link is. That's how brain numbed I am, right? And I should have saved. Oh, Francois Barringer. See if I can find it this way. The Gunn Rich. Okay. I'm looking for something, guys. Give me 1 second. I don't. Trying to see if I can find. Amazon used to give you the authors like the publisher website, and now they just hide that because they're a bunch of BS scam artists. Here we go. Let me. Okay, I got it for you guys. I found it. Share screen. So this is the company that makes it. Design Studio Press. It was basically 35. I think I paid less on Amazon than 35 because I got the Prime discount and whatever. What did I pay? I paid $30 on Amazon for it, right? And they have other stuff. Drive. Apparently they make a business doing all these books. Categories: science fiction and fantasy. Here we go. So at the Mountains of Madness. Hey, Zombie Man, welcome to the channel. This is probably the next one I'm going to buy, At the Mountains of Madness Volume 1. There's some interior art they're showing off. This is amazing. I mean, I found this by accident. For the Zombie Man, at this book I'm talking about, I found this totally by accident. Just randomly looking up something about the public domain and all that. And I love H.P. Lovecraft. If you know me, you know that. And this is probably the best thing I bought in months. So, not to belabor it, so that's something cool, right? So let's get on to the comic book unboxing. Save that up. Done. I'll throw a link to the company for this book with all the other stuff they have. I'll throw a link to that in the description when I'm done. So let's get this opened up. I ordered from Things from Another World Comics. They do a great job packaging this stuff, right? So this is a heavy duty order, by the way. Okay. Let's see what we got. So the first thing up is from Image Comics. It's a magazine format comic book by Greg Rucka, one of the better Wonder Woman writers over the years. Plus, there's other people whose name I don't remember. This is called The Forged. This is older. I believe it came out last year. So I got it. It lists for $6, but I think I paid and maybe $3 or $4 for it. They did not give me a magazine backer board. I'll have to order some of those and stick it in here. Some psychedelic looking artwork inside of it. There we go. Here's a slightly different looking for the artwork. Definitely anticipating reading that. I do have to order the backing boards for this size publication. Next, we have the pile of comic books. Now I ordered them on bagged and on boarded because I have a pile of 100 bags and boards. So I'm going to do. I'll use up my own before I keep paying for them to do it for me. Let me just sort through these because there are a couple of Okay. So we'll start with from Dark Horse Comics. It's a series called We Have Demons. It's one of the many horror comics I've been fascinated with. Now, one of the reasons I like the look of this comic book is I'll show you a lot of horror comics. You see the backgrounds, how they're all like different. They're not black. They're like grays and whatever, and it lets you highlight the coloration more. A lot of horror comic books will make this background black, and it makes it harder to see the material. As much, I have one that I'll show you. I have it here, Berserker, and yeah. Uh, so they make it harder to see. So I like that the level of artwork here, right? And this is basically a standard horror comic, but I like what I read about it, so I'm going to keep up with it. Issue 2 of it, right? I believe it's a 3-issue series, but I'll double check that. You know, I found this in an indie comic, which is called Hexagon Bridge. It is a sci-fi comic book. Okay, some random internal artwork. Honestly, it's a small press. It's $4. It's kind of thin for $4. So the question is something which isn't as much material worth the price? And that's always a question you got to ask yourself when you get an indie comic book, right? So what is Hexagon Bridge about? It's from Image. It is from Image, but so basically it's science fiction. They go and explore an alien dimension. Um, they're trapped there. Kind of a standard story, but I like the look of the artwork when I saw it, and um, so I'm gonna read it basically. The whole thing should be out. Well, the last issue should be coming out in January. So if I like the first issue, because again, I will get the others basically. I'll let you know. Now this is one. This goes without what this comic book is goes without saying, right? This is Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. This is volume 3. Okay, I just don't have the 4th issue, which I have to hunt down. Maybe I'll try Ron's comic closet see if I can find it. It's from Dark Horse. Um, you know, I mean, I love Norse mythology in general. Nice artwork. Gaiman, as far as the comics go, when Gaiman oversees stuff, which he oversees, would oversee a product based on his writing. It's reasonably well done. So that here's let's look at the covers. This is the cover of about issue 2, issue 3, and issue 5. So I'm missing issue 4 of this particular volume. This is volume 3. On Things from Another World, these were available for half price. So if they covered for the cover price was $3.99, you get them Things from Another World for $2 a pop. Right? Now here's something being written by Bill Willingham from Famous from Fairy Tales, great comic writer. Many years ago, the movie Fire and Ice came out, and now they're doing a comic book sequel to it. So the first issue of this came out about 4 months ago. Yes, slow release. Wakizashi's Tea House Gorilla, he did a great review of doing great reviews of this series. This is based on the artwork by Frank Frazetta, among others, and it was the beautiful artwork in this thing. And of course, I decided to try this out. This is the first issue of Keanu Reeves, his next Berserker series, this Berserker Fallen Empire. So if I like this, I'll go back and read the other stuff he wrote in his other comic book series from Boom Studios. This is it's a $4 book if I recall correctly. Very good construction. Some of our internal artwork. This is not a child's comic book, by the way. This is has adult audience intentions. Bear that in mind when you buy this. There will be naked artwork. I'll put it that way. And the last thing in there was Conan the Barbarian #5. There you go. From Titan Studios. Right. Let me okay. Let's put the Decepticon knife away for safety. And for some reason, the battery in my headset is dying. I know I got to replace it, but they're all soldering, and I don't really want to do that in my apartment with the fire alarms. So my awesome headset, which is like a high-end headset, being felled by an old battery. Let me just go back to adjust audio to. Okay. So what's next? Now I got some articles to talk about, among other things. If anyone have any questions, of course, just put them in the chat, and I'll try to pay it. Oh yeah, Dempsey. This is one of H.P. Lovecraft's classic stories, The Dunwich Horror. And if I didn't mention it, the artist is Francois. So H.P. Lovecraft is the author. Francois Barringer is the writer. But the author did the story is from almost 100 years ago. It's in the public domain. And like I said, this sort of stuff in the public domain, more often than not, it's bad. But this is great so far. This is just great. So let's get to my articles. Okay, so let's start with talking about Godzilla -1. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me zoom in on it. This movie has made almost $60 million in not even a month in fairly limited release. Okay, even though they call it domestic box office here, they really mean the U.S. box office at 36 million. The international box office has most of the actual domestic box office, which is the Japanese home box office. And so this thing is going to pop $60 million for what amounts to an indie film. And it's one of the best films of the whole year. The American film industry is a joke at this point with all the garbage they keep putting out. And if you haven't seen this movie, it's incredible. It's certainly one of the top 5 Godzilla movies of all time. Maybe one of the top 3. Yeah. And we'll see. And here's from Bleeding Fool. All these articles are in the description below. How Godzilla -1 just totally destroyed Hollywood. This is the question I have. What does it say? Let me make it larger so you guys can read with me. What does it say about the state of American filmmaking? The best movie of 2023 is a Japanese reboot of a 70-year-old monster franchise. Well, it says that the American film industry sucks, is what it says. So the story behind the story, okay, right? And one of the weird things about Godzilla is from the very beginning, there were 2 distinct versions of the same character, referred to them as Godzilla and Gojira. Not exactly. That's just this guy trying to put a spin on his story. But here is one thing he does get right. In the Japanese, a lot of times when the Japanese Godzilla film comes to the U.S., since the 1960s, they've always made the dialogue like campier and funnier and more tongue-in-cheek, and they've edited out some of the more horror-based scenes. Like the most famous, I guess you would say, would be in Gojira versus Godzilla. Now, the American Godzilla King of the Monsters with Raymond Burr, that was a serious movie. Raymond Burr would not have been in it if it wasn't a serious movie. He enjoyed the original a lot. Okay, so and he was basically there to help translate the story to the American audience. But what they did cut out was this very interesting debate that happened in the Japanese parliament about what to do about Godzilla and the people sharing their fears and whatever. And they just cut that out completely in the American, and it doesn't make for a different experience. Another example, Godzilla 1984 or Godzilla's Return, which was when they did the reboot, what we call the Heisei reboot, the second era, right? And they took the Japanese film, which was completely serious, and they were making it very campy, like they made previous guys. And then they brought Raymond Burr in, and Raymond Burr was like, no, you're not doing this. If you want me in this film, you would treat this material with respect and get all this garbage humor out of it, and they did, right? So, but here's one of the big differences in the original movie, right? In the American version, the film was about the dangers of the atomic bomb, right? But the question is, why did Godzilla only attack Japan? All right. But see, in the Japanese original story, some of what you get more if you watch the parts that are cut out, Gojira or the original Godzilla is not about the danger of the atomic bomb. It's about the guilt of the Japanese people over World War II, over all the conflicting emotions they have. On one hand, when they found out about some of the things the military was doing, they felt guilty for letting it happen because people don't know. Essentially, a military junta took over Japan, and that's what basically. And it wasn't so much the people or the emperor doing World War II; it was that military junta, and or the military-industrial complex as was formed in Japan. Also they're guilty about not fighting, about surrendering and not fighting. There was that part of the guilt because they're a warrior culture back then. Guilty about about all the people harmed by the bomb itself, not so much the use of the bomb. And it's really a sort of spiritual guilt film for the Japanese, whereas for the West and the Americans, it's solely about the horrors of nuclear weapons being used. So that's the interesting dichotomy, and that's what this article goes into about, right? So it's a good read, but that's basically what it talks about. Now, some sad news. This is one of the best shows that's been on for the past 5 years that very few people watched, very few people watched, unfortunately. It's called Warrior, or was called Warrior. It's based on the writings of Bruce Lee. So Bruce Lee, before he died, had been writing a bunch of scripts and workups for movies and TV shows. The most famous one of which you would have heard of is Kung Fu, right? He wrote that show for himself, but they wound up casting David Carradine in it for some reason. A lot of politics and ethnic politics and whatever back then. Anyway, another workup that he had was for this show called Warrior, which takes place in like the 1880s, around the time of the Chinese Exclusionary Acts and the Tang Wars that were going on in the California area of the West Coast, and immigration issues and all sorts of, and the railroad expansions from the West into the heartlands and all that. And this is a great show. It highlights it has all the stuff from history. It has enough fan service elements. Some beautiful women and some sexy scenes because on Cinemax, obviously. Has some great fights, some of the best fights you'll ever see. The character's name, by the way, here. People don't get the joke that Bruce Lee was talking when he gave you this character's name. Make it bigger, right? Yeah. So the main character's name looks like Assam, but if you pronounce it the way Bruce Lee would have pronounced it, the character's name was Awesome. So literally the main character's name is Awesome, like Awsom, because the way Bruce Lee would have pronounced Assam. Right? He had a lot of tongue-in-cheek sort of stuff with that. I want to say the 7th or 8th episode, which was of the first season, which was standalone, was one of the best TV show episodes you'll ever see. It's basically Awesome and young Jun, who's like the leader of the Tang he's in, the son of the leader. they're sent on a mission into Texas about some gold, and it's even more Western than the rest of the show. Unfortunately, Cinemax canceled it. This is the second time it's been canceled. We're all hoping that maybe someone will pick it up, and because it did have kind of a cliffhanger ending to it, but we'll have to see. So next up, this is an old issue to me, the Superman and the Trunks question, right? So why did they draw Superman with the trunks way back in the day when the artist created him and added all the iconic elements of the costume? Because it's supposed to look like something a little kid might come up with to be a superhero. If you have all the artists over the decades, that's why Superman's costume looks the way it does with the trunks and with the cape and all that. It's formed. It's so when you have like Man of Steel where he didn't have the trunks, a lot of Superman fans were like, that was one of the first signs that Zack Snyder did not get the character. If it weren't a Superman film, if it were just like a guy named, let's say, Ultraman or whatever, Omega Man or something else, Man of Steel would have been a great movie. But as is, because it's really not a good Superman movie, and so that's what this article is about. Peter Gunn's take on the Trunks question, and he goes, "You wouldn't believe the amount of pleading and upset I get based around Trunks or no Trunks. To me, not the most important for Superman or his story, but so many strong feelings." That right there tells me he does not get the character. I really, there are a lot of signs with this Peter Gunn Superman project that it's going to go bad, and this is just another one of it. He's already flooding the movie with other superheroes. I know you have to do that to sort of plant the seeds of the multiverse, as it were. I'm fine with that, but I'm getting a big vibe that this Peter Gunn Superman film is not going to be good, right? So I will leave the bulk of the article for you. And Warner Brothers and Discovery. So based on this is about Warner Brothers. Well, see, that's another thing. I don't think Dempsey. I don't think Gunn is going to have the American Way part of it, and it's really sad because to the rest of the world, if you can find articles about this, where people in other countries are upset that Superman no longer is for peace, is for truth, justice, and the American way. You can go. Like I was reading an article by someone who was talking to people in Zimbabwe or some, I remember correctly, or Zan, one of the two, an African country that started with a Z. I don't remember the name. I just keep always saying Zimbabwe. There's other ones. And then people there were in the native language were saying, American way. Superman represents the American way. We like that. That's his character. Yeah, Dempsey. They killed the multiverse. Like. Well, you have to go back in the day, Dempsey. I don't know how old you are, but multiverse stories used to be great. Like you'd have your mainstream universe continuity, and then you have your multiverse characters who would appear for crossovers or in else DC's Elseworlds. My favorite Batman story is in Elseworld. It's Gotham by Gaslight. So Dempsey, you're probably old enough to remember the end of the Great Multiverse era, which would have been the early to mid '90s. So that's when the multiverse started to get like way abused, with DC starting its endless chain of reboots. And yeah, well, Infinite Crisis, like it's kind of funny. So it popped. Sometimes the chat will pop up on the YouTube, like on watching on the YouTube window first, and sometimes it'll pop up on the StreamYard chat version of it first, and it goes back and forth, right? Anyway, I mean, I enjoyed Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis because I'm a Grant Morrison fan, right? I get a lot of people might not have followed along with what Morrison and Johns were doing. I understand that. I accept that. But Infinite Crisis did briefly give us back most of Silver Age Superman. And then, unfortunately, due to a combination of things like the a lawsuit over Superman, which had not been resolved, um, and a couple other things. We wound up getting they had to take elements out of Superman that they thought they might lose in the lawsuit. So that's when they sidelined the Silver Age Superman that we got back to Infinite Crisis and gave us what a lot of us call asshole Superman. The one who was banging Wonder Woman. Then they erased him and remerged, and they gave Superman a big power by merging him with pre-Crisis with the Infinite Crisis Superman. But by that point, DC has started going woke, and the fans are dropping. Yeah. So if you want to go read some great multiverse stories, go back and get the 1980s What If series. That was awesome. Obviously, Batman Gotham by Gaslight was awesome. There's a lot of in that area back in, especially in the 80s and earlier. All the crises from the 60s all led to Crisis on Infinite Earth, the original one. Those are all great stories, a crossover. Crisis on Earth 1 and 2. So okay, by the time the mid 90s had come along, that's when it started to go bad. Okay. And then early 2000s, we got into sort of endless DC reboots happening. So but anyway, so Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount are in talks to merge. Now, Discovery is a much larger entity than Paramount, right? But what I've seen 3 or 4 different versions of this article, right? And what I'm seeing this as is Zaslav wants to spin off Warner Brothers by Paramount, merge them together in a media company, and have Discovery own the media company and then sell it off for a profit. In other words, he wants to keep Discovery minus a few things he'd put into the merged Warner Brothers Paramount, and plus a few things he'd keep from them. But he's getting older, so he might just sell the whole thing off after he merges it. That's what all the rumors I see about this are. So this says it's confirmed that Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount have had discussions to merge 2 companies, right? And then it just goes on about all the properties they independently have. You can read through this here. Variety confirms Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish on Tuesday in New York to discuss a possible merger. Sources said Zaslav already spoke to Sherry Redstone, who owns National Amusements Inc., which owns a controlling stake in Paramount Global, about a potential combination of the companies. So that whole National Amusements Inc. is the whole reason for the craziness with Paramount, Viacom, and CBS over the past 20 or 25 years. That finally seems to have been resolved. Yep. Well, I mean, if you mean the older stuff, yeah. The Batman Who Laughs, I kind of remember that. Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer's series in like the early 90s was pretty good. His original series, the 11-issue mini series from I want to say the 70s or early 80s, was pretty good. His Annihilation, which was I think early 2000s, that was a pretty good crossover. Well, not crossover. It was a good mega event, I guess you would say. So I will see, and I hear that I don't like this. Recently, the news said that the Saudis, backed by $800 billion investment fund, are eyeing the purchase of Paramount. I really don't want more foreign companies to own more American stuff. I really want us to start cutting back on that. So I have the whole article down for you to peruse. And we'll do one more. And also, Warner Brothers. This is a good thing about Warner Brothers. So Tubi is kind of a streaming service that uses ads, doesn't charge you for it. I think there's a membership as well to get rid of the ads, and it's all over the place. It's on like Amazon TV. It's on you can get it for direct streaming through the internet. It's on the Roku, and Warner Brothers Discovery has extended a partnership with Tubi to keep putting more content on there. This goes and lists all the content, a lot of the content that they would have available, including some modern stuff like the Batman, the Wonder Woman 84, which sucked, Black Adam, which some people enjoyed, some people didn't. you know, modern and old stuff. If you've ever seen the 1990s Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman series with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, it's a good series with some ups and downs. That's going to be on Tubi. That's a good opportunity for you to check it out. But if you have a Roku, Tubi is on Roku, so that's the important thing to get. And if you have other ways to get it, and this is a good show of trying to earn money on their content that Warner is doing, right? So, and one more. Now let's get over to Dark Horizons, Reacher season 2, which has been out like not even a month, is already top Amazon's charts, so to speak. Yeah, Franklin Richards is a character who I thought got a little overplayed. With the alternate future Franklins, and then Franklin from the future where he was the only one more powerful than Rachel Summers, and because he had his vast telekinetic powers and gained energy powers, and I always thought Franklin Richards was a little of an abused character, to be honest. Um, but again, you know, it did. There were alternate timeline stuff, so it was main Franklin Richards remained a kid, and he had some cool stuff with the Power Pack, the kids comics, also kind of a trade off. Reacher season 2 has been great. The 4th episode I watched last night. Hit a little spoilers for my review I'll be doing probably tonight. Wasn't as good as the 3rd episode until the end, which was really cool. But I'll save the rest for my thoughts and review on it. So according to Deadline, okay, here we go. The Alan Richardson led show's first season was released all at once and was one of the streamer's biggest hits to date, with 1.84 billion minutes viewed across all 8 episodes in the U.S. during its premiere weekend in March of 2022, according to Nielsen. Now, according to Deadline, the first 3 episodes released on Friday, just the first 3 episodes, have surpassed the entire first season audience by 50% in just the first 3 days. And so that means they add that Reacher is now the #1 title of the year for Prime Video in terms of total viewers across all series and films globally. So this Reacher is literally the opposite of woke. Okay, total opposite of it, and it's doing great. And it has to burn in the craw of all these people promoting this woke crap that this non-woke thing is just doing so well. The remainder of the season is set to roll out weekly through January 19th, which, fine. So let's get on to a little bit of old school music. So I recently shared a video that released by Monomarth, one of their older songs called Saxons and Vikings, where legendary British metal band Saxon teamed up with Amon Amarth to do a song about the ancient Saxon and Viking wars, in during the Viking Age of the 9th to 12th century. This is I wish I would be healthy enough to go to this, because the guys in Saxon are in their 70s, and the dudes can still sing. And I remember these bands from when I was younger. I really enjoyed them. Saxon and Uriah Heep. If you are a fan of this British metal, this old school metal, and you can get out there, a spring 2024 U.S. tour. Okay, it's going to be called the Hellfire and Chaos Tour. It'll be in April, May, and June of 2024. They're going to do the formal announcement on January 8th. Saxon's 24th studio album, Hellfire and Damnation, will be released on January 29th. 24 albums of awesomeness is what I would call it. There's a European tour going on with Saxon, Judas Priest, and Uriah Heep. That'll be in March. So I guess they're gonna do like back and forth between the U.S. and Europe. Yeah. So there's a lot of awesome stuff in here. You can read the rest of the article. Important thing is, If you've never seen Saxon or Uriah Heep, given the age of the bands, this spring is your shot for it. Saxon is what I would call a classic British heavy metal band. They kind of sound like Iron Maiden a little bit, but more thrashy and less, speed. I guess if you want to put it. He has the classic sort of high pitched tenor voice. So I'm losing my voice. Give me a second, guys. In any case, just if you haven't ever heard, if you know who they are, this could be your last opportunity in the U.S. to see them. This, given the age of the bands, one of the members of Saxon is already retired and have a fill-in guy for him. They're 70s. They're in their 70s, right? So spring of 2024. Now on to, and I always cover a little bit of science in this, my final, in my final article. So 2 interesting things. Salty, if you're still out there, this is something you might want, might want to talk about on the woo stream. Does quantum theory imply the entire universe is preordained? So this is a pretty big article, and I'm not gonna, if you're not heavy into the science of it, I'm not gonna spam read it, but I'll summarize what they're talking about here briefly. So at the beginning of the 20th century, Albert Einstein, they basically codified the special and general theories of relativity, right? And then that which explained gravitation. And the team of several scientists, including Einstein, Niels Bohr, a couple of others, 6 or 7 guys, not versus free will, different. I'll get there in a minute, MC. They quantified basic quantum theory, and what they found out was Einstein's theory was entirely deterministic. And what does determinism mean? Determinism means that if you know where something is, how fast it's moving, and its velocity, I should say, you should be able to predict where it's going and to an extent where it's been. No, that's Newtonian mechanics is just a scaled down version of relativity, meaning so determinism, Newtonian mechanics, and relativity are deterministic, right? Quantum mechanics is indeterministic. Now, what does that mean? Well, the basic rule is you cannot know both the position and the momentum of an electron at the same time. The act of trying to determine its position obscures and destroys the data which you would get to determine its momentum. Likewise, if you measure its momentum, you can't tell where it is, right? So that's part of indeterminism. It's based on probability. Do you know that it's within a certain range? There's an electron cloud around atoms and so forth. So that's indeterminism. And what they found out was they could not come up with a deterministic way to explain the quantum universe, which is the strong force, the weak force, and electromagnetism. And likewise, they could not come up with an indeterministic way to explain gravity. They're 2 completely exclusionary ways of looking at the universe, but you need both to explain the universe, right? So if you heard about things like superstring theory and M-wave theory and quantum gravity and all, that's an attempt by the quantum guys to come up with an indeterministic way to explain gravity. And there are mathematical models that will allow them to do that. The problem is you need to be to make a scientific hypothesis, a theory, and a set of laws. It needs to be able to make provable predictions. Okay, and none of superstring theory or quantum gravity, none of that makes any predictions that we can actually reproduce in a lab. Whereas relativity keeps getting validated over and over again. Every time you use a cell phone, you validate relativity. So that's been the debate. Well, now to keep what this article is about simple, there's a concept of higher order determinism, which means even in a indeterministic system like quantum mechanics, quantum chromodynamics, whatever they're calling it nowadays, there's contending that there's a sort of higher, I think it's called higher 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 order determinism and whatnot. And what this comes down to is um, there's a famous image of the universe. Like, so if the universe is indeterministic, right? If it's random, if there's no free will, it's just all random nonsense, a multiverse. In order for that to happen, there has to be an underlying set of laws which themselves would be deterministic, the basic laws of nature. So that's kind of what even quantum mechanics is leading to, that concept that there's something, even if the rules within the laws of physics aren't deterministic, like quantum, the laws of physics themselves are have to be deterministic. Otherwise, you couldn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't get a set anything that arose from them. So that's kind of what this article alludes to. If you've never read a lot of science stuff, or never took if you never took any engineering classes or physics classes or whatever, this might be bunch of babble. Okay, so but if you're interested in science, here's high end science. Here's something for you. Now, on the practical side of science is my next article. Okay, so about maybe 7 years ago, there was if there's a whole if you ever want to know how anything really works, there's a saying from a movie which we all remember called "Show Me the Money." You follow the money, okay? And I want to say around 2015 or so, maybe 2012, somewhere in there, a lot of money started going into nuclear fusion development in the private sector. Okay, right? The public sector has always had a strong amount of money into it, but the private sector companies, General Electric and among others, as well as investment capitalists making up new startups, they all start putting money into nuclear fusion. And the reason a lot of people say is that the technology has finally gotten to the point where instead of saying this technology is 50 years away from being done, most people are predicting that sometime in the 2030s, from either GE or one of these other companies, the first commercial fusion reactors will start to be produced, right? Um, and when all that private money starts going into these companies, that's usually a sign that these companies have shown demonstrable work that they can make fusion profitable at some point within a deterministic amount of time, to use a phrase from before. Now, what is this about? Well, this these efforts between the private companies and the public companies kind of go together, right? So all the public research, like the nuclear fusion lab, is made available to all the private companies because this is public science. It's not proprietary. It's not trademarked or patented or anything. Any private company can use this stuff, and like and we've heard about the European fusion research doing pretty well. This is the U.S. Nuclear Fusion Lab. They're achieving okay, Dempsey, do what you have to do. Um, they've heard the U.S. Nuclear Fusion Lab is achieving ignition over and over again, meaning they're producing reactions that produce more energy than they consume on a regular basis. And if they're doing this in a public setting with less funds, and all this research is going to the private sector, who are taking this and running with it, this is another big sign that nuclear fusion as a practical technology is almost here. So those are my preordained articles, so to speak. What I usually do, since it's 3:59, I like to go to between an hour and a half. I will randomly look around for 1 to 3 or 4 articles to give my thoughts about. So we'll have some spontaneity. I'll take some questions from anyone in the audience, and then we'll call it a day, as it were. I have all these articles I just went over are in the description below. Oh, before I do that, I will show you the comic book company that I order from. So this is Things from Another World Comics. So far, it's a good company. The only thing is their website is a little clunky, but once you learn your way around it, it's good. It's useful. And the other place I found, which Pops helped me out with, is an eBay shop called Ron's Comic Closet. Right. So those are my primary things from the world. My secondary round comic cards. I have good results with both. Now let's go and look for some 1 to 4 random articles to drop some comments about. Always try Bounty in the comics if they post anything. Oh, here we go. Once again, Marvel keeps trying to shoot themselves in the foot. These white liberal, I guess not all necessarily white writers who just who don't seem to think that black characters and black can stand on their own. And that extends to the movies, where apparently, in the Marvel game they were producing, Marvel Wolverine, they're race swapping Callisto. So again, more sloppy seconds for minority characters. Aquaman 2 is bombing completely, which is kind of sad because Aquaman 1 was pretty good. What else can we find? Dark Horizons. Oh, speaking of which, I watched the movie Silent Night a couple of days ago. And for the first half of this movie, it was potentially going to be one of the greatest revenge movies of all time. So the premise is this dad, he gets shot left for dead. He gets shot in the throat and can't talk. His baby son is murdered, like 3 years old or whatever. And he's emotionally despondent, and then eventually plans revenge. He starts training himself, learning hand-to-hand combat, learning guns and all that. And most importantly, you could see his emotional anger building as he approaches Christmas of next year, which is the 1-year anniversary of his son's death. And he's planning how to defeat these gangs mentally. So he wants to set up a gang warfare where they take each other out, and he'll go in and finish them off. He'll expose them and all that. And then you get that he starts the gang warfare going on, and all of a sudden, instead of continuing to do an intelligent takedown of the gang, he drives on his car, starts shooting everyone left and right. It goes from being a well thought out revenge film to basically like a Bowl action, a bad action revenge film, and it was just such a disappointing way to destroy a movie. Oh, excuse me. Okay, there's 2 articles of review. Let's see if we can find 2 more. With a crappy deadline. Okay, this is interesting. Lionsgate Studios to become a new public company splitting with Stars in SPAC deal. Lionsgate is the home of John Wick, among other things. So there's potential value in this company for the John Wick universe. The John Wick TV show, the prequel, The Continental, was good. It wasn't great. It was good. There's a ballerina TV show that's due out, which may or may not be good. We'll find out. So that's what makes Lionsgate particularly valuable. Entertainment Weekly. Giant freaking robot. I like the funny thing they do with this Kang thing going on, where they basically fired this guy and they keep going, "We was Kang." I just love that. Oh wait, well, Bruce Willis's kids are chiming in on the Die Hard Christmas debate. So let's put this to bed once and for all. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, not debatable. It is. You don't have to take our word for it. Rumor Willis, daughter Bruce Willis, the star of the movie in question, recently took to Instagram and said as much herself. So even Bruce's kids think this is a. Heard that who was signed at DC, Dempsey? That's what was sick. Metal injection. So I would Pull Me Under is an iconic Dream Theater song. Uh, I can't play it because of copyright me, but I would recommend people go. Yeah, well, we know Bruce Willis, his mental health is gone. So, you know, um, anyway, if this, I'm going to watch this later. Maybe I'll comment about it. Mike Portnoy himself is breaking down Pull Me Under. This would be cool to check out later. Entertainment news. Metal injection movie web. 2 more articles. Come on, 2 more articles, guys. Let's give us 2 more. 2 more. Okay, let's see the 10 fantasy movies that were great right from the opening scene. Let's find out what these 10 movies are. I've never seen Castle in the Sky, which is saying something because I have to go check that out. The Nightmare Before Christmas, yeah, this is great. From the moment you saw this, you either loved it or hated it, and I loved it. Yeah, I admit that. Opening Guardian Galaxy 4, if you loved it, you loved it from the beginning. Same thing here. Yep. Agree with that. I am not a I'll disagree with Bruce on that one. um, I'm not a Shrek fan, unlike many people. The animation style just doesn't do it for me. So I don't know what I would call this a great fantasy film. Likewise, Coraline. I never got into Coraline. I don't know why. People like it. I never did. I've never seen Enchanted. Yes, it was great from the moment we saw it, but I don't know how Dune is not a fantasy movie. So, well, I guess if you consider science fiction fantasy, yes, it is. But Pan's Labyrinth, great from the beginning. That's correct. Um, I guess that's one way to put it. Although I think of it as one film because Lord of the Rings is one book to me. But yes, that is true. What else? So one more. We need one more article to round it out. One more. Oh, excuse me. I just did the Hollywood Reporter. Why did I go there twice? Okay, 7 predictions for tech in 2024. So let's see what the Wrap is. This guy from the Wrap is predicting. Oh, you need a subscription to read this. Well, of course. What the 10 scariest horror films will bring to Christmas dinner. Let's check that out. How to elect it would bring wine. Okay. I'm not sure Pinhead would actually bring lasagna, but they're not even attempting to they're just throwing random crap out there. That's stupid. So let's not end on that one. World of Real. Let's try it again. Winter is coming. World of Real. Come on, let's get a good article. Come on, internet, give us something good to end on. Oh, okay. So this is so good to end our bed on, but for those who don't know, we started talking about the public domain. We'll finish talking about the public domain. Steamboat Willie, which is the earliest incarnation of Mickey Mouse, is entering into the public domain. It's sometime next year in 2024. Steamboat Willie becomes the public. So that's the beginning of the end, so to speak. Disney did try to negotiate a world treaty at one point. This is true. I think this was back in the 90s under Clinton when they had Clinton on the payroll. They wanted to get a world treaty that would essentially extend their copyright on Disney's classical stuff. Yeah, Dempsey, not the whole mouse. Eventually, the whole of Mickey will get there. But Steamboat Willie, the earliest incarnation, that movie and shorts and whatever, that's all going there next year. Disney tried to get how do I put it? To get a world treaty done, which would put their Mickey Mouse and other associated properties in Disney copyright forever. Even Bill Clinton couldn't convince people to sign off on that. Though the interesting thing to remember with copyright and public domain, let's say Mickey Mouse eventually goes into the public domain, you can make Mickey Mouse stuff, but you will not be able to use it to sell him, so to speak, because the trademarks don't expire. So Mickey Mouse is always going to be something that Disney has the trademark on. So they'll be able to sell a Mickey Mouse movie and call it Disney's Mickey Mouse and whatever. You can write a Mickey Mouse story and sell it. You cannot call it, you have to come up with a different way to package it, so to speak. So trademark is an interesting thing. It's like the best way to understand it is to read up about the dispute between Marvel and DC over Shazam, because the original character of Captain Marvel, is the character we call Shazam now, but Marvel, in a spite move to DC back in like the 50s or whatever, copyrighted or trademarked. I forget. They trademarked the name of Captain Marvel, so DC had to call him. The company that DC bought him from had to call him Shazam. They couldn't, DC had to call him Shazam for years. Eventually, they kind of worked something out where they could call him Captain Marvel, but they couldn't make a trademark symbol or whatever. But that's the best way to understand the difference too, is to go read up on that sort of work. In any case, I'll return to the beginning. We had the awesome Had the awesome Dunwich Horror illustrated by Francois Barranger. I got to order book covers for this. I don't know if you can see it here. These plastic skin jacket book covers that I put on one book. I got to order the size for this so I don't wreck the jacket or the book while I'm reading it. And next week I'll probably have some more comic books. Those are in the shipping. Maybe Christmas swag. I think I'll get a couple Christmas gifts over the weekend, so that'll be cool. I can show those off if they're anything interesting. So this is my last show before the holiday, obviously. So have a Merry Christmas, everyone. A safe Christmas. Watch, buy original media, buy original books, read the original source material. If you can get quality used products, go buy it from eBay or whatever to avoid giving money to Amazon until they stop producing Rings of Prime and Wheel of Prime. And my name is Matt. This is the Crown Prince of Fandemonia. This has been Friday Fandemonium. We're ending at an hour and 16 minutes, which I think is pretty good. We had Dempsey, we had Salty, we had Jacob Ironside was here for a while. Who else did we have? Zombie Mania. The Zombie Main was here. Conroy Riker was here. And I think those are the 5 which commented in the chat. So thank you all for attending my Friday Fandemonium, and we'll see you all next week. Have a happy holiday. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. The little guy back there is Unbearable 23, and I am out of here. If I can find the end stream button, which has disappeared, there it is. Bye-bye.